r/ask Reddit. What's something you're pretty sure has only happened to you? The first customer who I had to deal with on a new job was the last person I said goodbye to the day I quit that job. It was full circle, and it blows my mind every time I think about it. Did you quit after the first customer? It was a pretty small circle. Was reading a book about a serial killer. Turned over the page to see a picture of my house. The serial killer was my former landlord. Eater, he was the most prolific serial killer in recorded history. At the time I rented his former childhood home from him. He wasn't known to be a murderer. I didn't know him personally. It was through an estate agent. The poop hit the fan about 2 years after I left that house. I was sitting in my new home reading a book about him and just saw the picture of my former home. He was born and raised there, and both of his parents died in the kitchen and living room there. He left at 17 to go to medical school in Leeds. Edit, about 250 victims. The book was Prescription for Murder by Brian Whittle and Jane Ritchie. Harold Shipman. A live bird fell on my head while I was sleeping. Twice. In completely unrelated incidents. I was inside in both. Edit, due to request. Both times they flew through an open window at night and crashed into the window I was sleeping next to. I did the only thing any normal person would do both times. I screamed like a little girl. I caught both birds. One was a middle-sized dark thing, middle of the night. No light. Runk, and the other a pigeon. And released them. They were both fine. I too have a pet parrot. This was also my immediate thought. My day isn't complete without at least one crash landing by mine onto my head. I opened my wallet and a moth flew out. Like in cartoons when a person is broke. My daughter went through a money phase when she was young. She had taken about $600 in cash out of my wallet and replaced it with a single Ritz cracker. I'm at a department store trying to buy a shirt. Open up my wallet. Pull out the cracker and say, "Do you accept Ritz?" My daughter meanwhile is at swimming lessons across town with my dad. I call my dad. He opens up the little purse she's been toting all over town. She's got over $1,000 in it. That's when we found out she hit up grandma's purse as well. You can't leave it there. I once ran over a squirrel with my bike. I'm an animal person and I immediately felt terrible and stopped my bike. I ran back to go check on it. His little body was just laying there in the path. I went to poke it, and the little bastard jumped up and bit me. The squirrel was playing possum. Side note, rabies shots suck. When I was 9, a chipmunk ran through my bicycle spokes while I was going down a hill. It was too fast to react. But I clearly watched him sprint at my wheel and neatly leap through the spinning death wires. Somewhere, there's a very old chipmunk adventurer. Dodging swinging axes or something. Did he yell Parker as he did it? I've mentioned this before but it definitely fits. I was having sex with my girlfriend after showering together and I had water stuck in my ear. Then right as I came, my ear popped and water came out. The combination of an orgasm and an eargasm was the most bizarre but amazing sensation ever, and I have never met anyone else that has had the same experience. This is probably the 3rd time I've seen you mention this, and I can only say it makes me envy you more, damn it. I hate that I have never had it happen again. I feel like an addict sometimes chasing that. But I have never been able to do it again. I've tasted the Rosetta Stone. I saw it when I was younger at the London Museum. It wasn't behind anything. So I got in close and licked it. Tasted like history. They do now have 2 versions at the British Museum. The original which is behind glass and a replica which you can touch. Perhaps back then the original was open to touching and licking. I don't know whether that was the case when you visited or whether your licking of the priceless artifact prompted them to add the replica version. I was at work. Went to the bathroom and saw my peen was purple and swollen and freaked the duck out. I immediately went to the urgent care where I found out it was just a bruise from rough X. And since it's such a vascular region, bruises tend to look really nasty but are harmless. The weird part was the doctor started flicking my peen from side to side and then said sorry. It's been a while since I've seen one of these. She also made more than one follow-up call to see how I was doing. She wanted to see if you were able to replicate the issue with her. That's the impression I got. She did seem rather intrigued by being able to get a bruise like that without realizing it. I shot a fly out of the air with a blowgun from about 30 feet away. I think I may have lost my sanity due to no one believing me had my roommate not been there and witnessed it. Edit. Well, duck me. My account has been identified by a friend of mine that lives 2,500 miles away due to this comment. Similar shot a wing off a bee from 6 feet away using a BB gun. Can you curve bullets? No promotion in my company for over 6.5 years. No one else has ever achieved this. Edit. Whoa. This is the best I've done so far on Reddit. Living the dream. A zebra bit my fingers and wouldn't let go. So my dad punched it in the face. Usually these kinds of short posts leave more questions than answers, but this one was satisfying. I once crammed 11 people in a Mazda 323. When I was walking home from the mall, when I was 14, I saw a minivan pull up to an apartment complex. The door opened, and I swear like 18 Hispanic people got out of it. They were also unloading lawn chairs and BBQ equipment as they got out. It was the most amazing feat of human packing I've ever seen. Edit. RIP Inbox. In junior high, we fit our 14-person soccer team into our coach's minivan, so we could get everyone back from the year-end pizza party. I got an inguinal hernia from moving my dad's box of porn mags when I was 10. Did he ask you to, or were you acting under your own initiative? My money is on helping, with an ulterior motive. I was playing with a clear plastic beader in high school craft class. It was small. Think like maybe 1/3 the size of a pearl. I got bored and wandered out to the balcony. As I stepped out the door, I threw the bead overarm out into the courtyard. Except that on its way out, it nicked the bottom of the awning that came down only about 2 centimeters from the roof and I swear, bounced back to me and landed directly in my hand, which was still in the process of swinging down from the throw. I was gobsmacked. I just walked back into class and sat down quietly knowing that, even if I told someone they'd never believe me. To this day, it remains the most impressive thing I've ever done. And I've never told this to anyone until now. That reminds me of when I was casually flipping my phone and catching it with the same hand, trying to alternate sides that I caught it on, or whatever. Just messing around. On one toss, I threw it out too far and panicked because I have hardwood floors. I stuck my foot out to try and cushion the landing and caught it between my toes. Never even touched the ground. Edit. You guys, don't lift your foot to your phone when trying to catch it. Just let the phone fall on your foot. Otherwise, you're going to kick that device you're trying to save through the stratosphere and all the way to Matt Damon. As a juggler, if I drop anything I catch it with my foot. I have had a half full glass of water land standing upright on top of my foot. I got hired for a job and the company went out of business the next day before I could even make it into work. It was a circuit city. I got the job, went home, saw the news article about the closing stores and mine was on the list. I had quit my other job that I hated to go work there. Edit. Apparently this happened to a bunch of other people, but I was the only one at this particular circuit city in Alabama. So I'm still technically correct. You're fired. But I don't even work here. Would you like a job starting now? Boy, would I. You're fired. I was riding my Razor scooter around my front yard as a kid. There was a notorious bit of uneven sidewalk that I forgot about and the tiny, incapable wheels made impact and I flipped over the front. I was shaken but generally okay. I go to wipe a tear from my face and as I open my hand a butterfly flew out of it. Has caught the snitch. 150 points to Gryffindor. One time when I was constipated I pooped so hard that when my poop fell it made a huge sploosh that made the water splash into my mouth. Edit. Whoa. Woke up to this. Thanks. Didn't expect my experience with the toilet in my taste buds would get me gold. In which position do you hit? Where the water actually has a chance to come up at you. Are you not covering the toilet bowl with your ass? How did it taste? So many questions. There was a small open space in front of my crotch. That's where the splash came out. My brain was too shocked to process the taste. 3am. walking to the bus stop with two friends. So one of the friends starts telling us his story that took place few years ago in his hometown. This kid, in college, was walking back to his home late evening. A white van stops next to him and asks for direction. He gives them direction. The van leaves. Stops 20 feet ahead of him this time. So the kid goes to the van and gets jumped on by people in it and gets kidnapped. The moment he finished the story, a white van pulls up next to us. And one of the guy asks us for direction. We give him direction. The van leaves and stops again some 30 feet ahead of us. We stop walking and look at the van. We stood there for close to 10 minutes before the van left and we resumed our walk. Edit. Stupid. That is wickedly creepy unless your friend is their accomplice who was luring you into a kidnapping until he had a change of heart and gave you a heads up. Unless your friend is their accomplice who was trying to play a practical joke. Woke up to gunshots and went outside. Then saw a hooker come out of my neighbor's house with her leg blown off from the knee down. I called in sick that day. Edit. After the gunshots stopped I went outside when I heard screaming to call 911. There was a young family nearby that I thought the noise was coming from. They both survived and she shot him 3 times. I bet she stayed home that day too. She was already on the job. Friend. I accidentally killed a seagull with my bike once. It jumped out of a ditch next to the road and threw itself in between the 2 tires. RIP suicidal seagull. I also have a seagull story. I hooked one with a fishing rod on accident and it somehow got tangled up in a throwing net I had. After about 15 minutes of trying to cut it out and getting pecked all to hell, I just killed it and threw everything in the water. Stubbed my toe so hard it got shorter. When I was 7 I fell off the ladder on the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea's boat. I landed on a giant clam his bodyguard had fished from 20 meters below, cutting a giant gash into my foot. I'm allergic to shellfish. His bodyguard carried me 5 kilometers, barefoot, to the nearest aid post. By the time we arrived my eyes had swollen and I was unable to see while simultaneously having a minor asthma attack. I was then held down on a table by my father as a local nurse sewed me up without painkillers, 10 stitches. Okay, so this, if finally a story in this thread, that definitely only happened to one person. Congrats on being unique and sorry to hear about that horrible experience. I'm a double illegal immigrant. I was brought over illegally to the USA as a child and grew up without realizing I was illegal. My parents divorced/remarried and eventually both got citizenship. When I was 19, my mom/stepdad decided it would be best for me to move to Canada so I could attend college. And then I could come back legally once my papers were processed, which was fine according to their lawyer. What the stupid immigration lawyer didn't realize is that once I left the USA, I had a 10-year ban placed on me. So while in Canada I went to my appointment to get a visa to come back to the States and was promptly told at the office that it was rejected because there was a 10-year ban flag on me and I could not enter the States for another 6 years. Also around the same time the DREAM Act passed, meaning if I stayed in the US I would be legal already through parents or DREAM Act. After that my Canadian student visa ran out and I couldn't extend it. And so I'm illegally hanging out in Canada right now not knowing what the duck to do because my only alternative is to return to Russia, a country I haven't been in since I was 9. My US ban expires in 2019. But I don't think they'll grant me a visa to enter the US, even if I do manage to stick around here without being arrested. Since once asked what my status in Canada is, I'd be out of luck. I work online and my mom sends me money as well. But the likely thing is I'll probably have to bite the bullet and move to Russia. It's really depressing to me since I grew up in the States and pretty much considered myself an American my entire life. And I don't remember much about Russia, nor do I have any desire to go there. Oh, and the immigration lawyer my mom used is no longer working as a lawyer. Even if you don't get a US visa, you're already double illegal. Why not go for triple? Cause if I get caught in the States while already being banned for 10 years, that becomes a perma ban and my papers that were in progress get wiped. When I was 8 years old I witnessed a common mouse commit suicide. I was just walking through my garage when I saw him dart out from behind something and throw his poor little body under my foot. It happened so fast I couldn't stop my foot. I imagine he probably did it because he got behind on bills. Or maybe life was just too hard for him. He was just tired of the rat race. Ducking, like and subscribe.